Hi, I'm Marc and I will now explain you the rules of Rewild South America. Okay, so let us have a look at the rules of Rewild South America. I will only explain the basic rules in this rule video and not the expert mode rule and not the solo mode rules. But these rules are only like 1.5 pages long in the rule book and you will easily understand them once you understood like the basic concept of Rewild South America. So when you set up the game, you always place the scoreboard at the central position where all the cards and everything there is easily visible for all the players. And then you also prepare the stock of all the other materials. So you place the resources there, the animal markers, the biome tiles, the trees, the tree meeples. So you simply make everything ready for the game. Then you place the cards and the 3 card decks, the plant card decks. So you shuffle it and you place it here, then you reveal 3 plant cards. Then you do the same with the wildlife card deck, you shuffle it and place 5 wildlife cards here, and then you take the predation card deck, you shuffle it and place 3 predation cards here. And then all the players have the same setup, so they get a player board, which they place in front of them. Always make sure that you have free space on the right side, because here you place all the cards that you take during the game. You also get 3 player markers. One of the player markers you already, the 4th, you place here on the scoreboard because it simply scores your victory points. And then you get 1 seed, 4 water, 4 minerals, an overview card with the symbols, all symbols in the game, and some extra rules. Simply rules that you don't have to keep in mind because they are here. So it makes it a bit more simpler to play. And then all the players get their 7 player cards. One of the players also get the starting player marker. And once this is done, we can start with the game. So the game has a very simple structure, and that doesn't mean that the game is simple, but it means that it's easy to start, to understand how the game works. Because when it's a player's turn, so we play in turns, and once it's a player turn, they have to do exactly 2 things. So before the turn starts, we have a look at the scoreboard and check if there are any empty card slots. So for example, if this card would be missing here, then we simply shift this one position to the right. We have here the arrows to show this, to indicate this. We shift this card to the right, and then there is a new card revealed. And the same would be here. So if there would be several cards missing, we simply shift the ones on the left to the right, and then we reveal the cards, the new cards, always on the very left. So that's simply important that the new cards, they always come into play here on the very left. And the same we would do with the predation cards. Once this is done and a player has a full set of cards available for their turn, because there are no more empty spots, now the actual turn starts. So as I said, you have 2 phases in your turn, so 2 things that you can do or have to do. So the first thing that you have to do is you play one of your player cards. And once this is done and you play this card, so this is a must, you have to do it, you go to the second phase of your turn, and that is attracting animals or plants from the scoreboard. This is voluntary, so you can decide to do it or not to do it. That's completely up to you, but to play a player card, that's a must. So what happens, so how does playing a player card work? So let us have a look at these cards. There are 2 desert player cards, or shrubland, how we call it in this game. There is 1 harvest card. There are 2 grassland action cards and 2 rainforest action cards. So when it's your turn, you simply have to choose one of these 7 cards that you have in your hand. Over the turn of the game, you will have less cards, and then you simply have to choose the ones that you have in your hand. So you have to choose one and then play it. Let us first have a look at the action cards, and later we will have a look at the harvest cards. So when you play one of these cards, then you simply have to decide, which action do I want to perform? And do I want to perform the top action or the bottom action? If you play the top action, you simply place the card on the left side of your player board, like this. If you choose to place the bottom action, you play it like this. Because simply these symbols, they are relevant for animal card effects. So it's important which action you played. So because only the top symbols count towards these effects. So if we would choose the top action, we play it like this. So what are there for actions in your game? So there we decide between three different types of we differentiate between three different types of actions. So there are building actions, these 6 here. They are quite simple to understand because it simply means spend the number of resources here, for example 1 mineral and 1 water, and get 1 shrubland tile. Here for grassland it's a bit more expensive, 2 minerals and 2 water, and here for rainforest tiles it's even a bit more expensive, it's 3 minerals and 2 water that you have to spend from your stock here. So you take it, place it back in the general stock, and then you place a biome tile. So let us assume we would perform this action here. So we simply now have to pay 1 mineral, 1 water to place a shrubland tile, this one. Before we pay them, some things that we have to take into consideration. So if we place a tile, it has to be placed within the frame here. So you can't make it like this, that it goes over the edge. So it has to be placed within these hexagons that are depicted here on your player board. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you can place it everywhere. So even if you have maybe started with a shrubland here, and the second one can also be placed here. It doesn't maybe make much sense to do that, but you can do that. So you don't have to build adjacently. You can place them everywhere as long as they have space there. So now when we place this shrubland tile, there are also some icons that you see here, right? And when we place this now, for example here, then this water serves as a discount. So it discounts the price of this shrubland by 1 water. So if I would place it here, I only would need to pay 1 mineral for this shrubland. If I would place it here on these 2 minerals, then I simply have a discount of 2 minerals, then I only would need to pay 1 water. It's important that I don't get these too much, so even if the discount exceeds the price, I don't get these resources back. So they only are a discount, so they can only lower the price, but you don't get the excess discounts as added to your stock, so that's not possible. So here are also single minerals that simply lower the price of a biome tile by 1 mineral. And then you also have these stars, and these stars, they work. They are indicated here on the overview card, how they work. If you cover 1 star with a shrubland tile, you get instantly 1 victory point. So if I do this, I simply have to pay 1 water and I get 1 victory point. If I would place it here, I cover 2 stars with a shrubland, that gives me 2 points, and I have to pay 1 mineral in this case because the discount is for water. If I would place a grassland on a star, then it gives me 2 per covered star. So here it would be 4. If I cover this, it would give me 4 points immediately. And if it would be a rainforest, it gives me 3 per star. So here it gives me 3 points, and here it would be 6 points. So, but now let's say that I place it, for example, let's say I place it here. Then I simply take 1 mineral, place it here, back in stop, and place it here. Let's say now I don't want to attract, and so this would be the first part of my turn. And let's say I don't want to attract any animals. Now it's the other player's turn. Now it's back my turn. Now let's assume I want to place a second shrubland. Then let's say I would place it here, right? So now I get a discount here by 1 mineral, but on top of this I also get a discount per adjacent already placed shrubland, because they have a symbol here, and this means on all these adjacent hexagons, if you place something there, the price is also decreased by 1 mineral. So in this case it would be an overkill, because there I already have 0 to pay because it's only 1 mineral that I would need to pay. And with this, it's even a discount of 2, thanks to the adjacent shrubland. But let's assume I would want to place, for example, this one here, then it would have an actual effect. Because if it would be like this, then now I would need to pay 2 minerals to water. But thanks to this discount and the discount thanks to the shrubland that is here, I would only need to pay 2 waters and place them back in the general stock. Important, even if I would place this water tile here and it has like 2 adjacent edges, it only decreases and the discount is only 1. So it's not per edge that is adjacent to it. So here it's not like a discount of 3 or something. No, it's only 1. But if you have 2 shrublands, then you would lower the price of this grassland here by 2 minerals. One by this, one by this. And here are no ones depicted, so it would simply be again 3 for minerals and 2 water. If we would place it here, it would be a complete overkill because it would get 2 discount of 2 thanks to these shrublands, and then additional discount of 2 thanks to this square here, this hexagon. Important, so not only shrublands have these effects, but also grasslands. Grasslands, they provide you a discount of water. So if I would have first placed the grassland, and then I would place the shrubland here, and this shrubland would be free, because here is a discount for minerals, and here I get 1 discount for water thanks to this grassland. And there are, on the back of grasslands, there are wetlands. I will explain how they are done with actions, how they are created, but I will do this in a second. But that you know, wetlands, they give you a discount of 2 water on all adjacent hexagons. So it's a discount of 1 for grasslands, 2 for wetlands, and 1 for 1 mineral for shrublands. So that's the first, that's like half of all the actions are about placing biome tiles. So this one, these ones, these ones. So the next ones that also look quite similar are these 3. This one, this one, this one. They simply work like this. You take 3 water or 3 minerals or 3 seeds from the general stock, and you take away the most right card of the predation card. So this card would be discarded, would be placed out of the game. Here it would be the most right plant card. So the plant card that is furthest to the right would be this one. And here it's the wildlife card furthest to the right. So when I now would go to the attraction phase after performing this action, I would not have a full set here available. 1 card would be missing. And that's intentional. It would then get replenished before the next player's turn would start. And then we have 3 3 missing actions that I haven't explained yet. These 3 here. And these are the upgrade actions. So let us first have a look at the shrubland upgrade action. If you upgrade shrublands, you simply can place 1 shrubland extension tile next to every shrubland that you have. So for example, let's say I have 2 here and here, then I can simply place for free 2 shrubland extension tiles. So I could place, for example, 1 here, and the arrow simply shows to which shrubland this extension tile belongs. So it belongs to this one, and this one would belong to this one. It's important that every shrubland can only be upgraded once. So 1 shrubland can only have 1 shrubland extension tile that is connected to it with the arrow. So now I could not perform this again and again and just place more shrubland extension tiles. This is now simply seen as 1 big shrubland, like with 4. So even if I now would place here a grassland, the price is not reduced by 2 minerals, because this is seen as 1 4-hexagon shrubland tile. And yeah, that's how shrublands are like extended. It's simply important that it's connected, it's seen as 1. And what is good for the game, or why it is relevant for the game, is of course it gives you more space for free and for animals, And on top it has more of these symbols, and these symbols, like I mentioned earlier, they are important for some of the animal effects. So you can get a lot more of these shrubland icons with not as much space as like the basic shrubland tiles. So that's how this action works. And then we have, let's put them next to each other because they look exactly the same. Then we can upgrade here grassland and rainforests. When you perform this action, you simply have to choose if you want to upgrade grasslands or do you want to upgrade rainforests. So it's a choice. You can do one of the two. Let's say we want to upgrade grasslands. It would work quite simple. It's simply that you can pay 1 water per grassland that you want to upgrade. And for this, you can simply flip then the tiles to the wetland side. You don't have to flip all of them. You can simply decide, okay, I want to pay 2 water to flip 2 of them, and 1 I want to keep as grassland. And that's simply how you do it. And then the second upgrade, the third and last upgrade would be how to upgrade rainforests. With rainforests, you again have to pay 1 water per rainforest that you want to upgrade. And the upgrade looks like this, that you place a high tree on it. So I pay 1 water, get this high tree. And what is the positive effect with trees? Trees allow you to have 1 species at the bottom and 1 species on a tree. For example, the macaw I can place on the tree. And so it has on 1 tile, you have space for 2 animals. In addition, you also get 4 victory points when you place an animal on a tree. So it also gives you a bonus when you occupy a tree with an animal. So that's like the sense why you should do it, or why it maybe for strategy makes sense to place these trees. Okay, and so these are all the actions here. Again, I shortly repeat, you can place biome tiles, you can take resources, and cards are discarded, and only the furthest to the right, not all cards, just the one furthest to the right, and you can upgrade biomes. And always, like I said before, when you play an action, you simply place it here on the side in the direction. So the action that you chose is at the top because it's important for the symbol, and the next card that you would play in the next turn would be placed like this, and the next one like this, so that you always see just the top icons. And over the turn of the game, you would simply place here more and more cards, right? And but now, at this point, I would only have 3 hand cards, these 2 and this one here. So how do I get these cards back? You get these cards back with the harvest card. The harvest card works like this, that you get seeds. So for every shrubland tile that you have, you get half a seed. For every grassland or wetland, you get half a seed. And for every tree, you get 3 seeds. And it's also rounded up, so let's say you would have 4.5 seeds, then it's 5 seeds. So you take this number of seeds, then you take 1 water, and then you can take all these cards back in your hand. It's important that after you do that, you cannot attract animals from the scoreboard. That's only possible when you play the action card. So let's now assume, so that's how the action card phase pretty much works. So let's now assume we played this one, we already played this one, and I think I placed it here for the example. So now let's go to the card attraction phase. So how does attracting cards work? As you can see, we have plant cards, we have predation cards, and we have wildlife cards. In your turn, you can attract a maximum of 1 plant card, a maximum of 1 predation card, and up to 5 wildlife cards. It's also important that you can do that in any order that you want. So you can attract a wildlife card, then a predation card, then a wildlife card, then a plant card, then a wildlife card. So the order is completely up to you, and it's completely also voluntary. If you want to take cards and how many cards you want to take, that's completely up to you. It's not a must. You can take 0 or up to a maximum of 7. 1 here, and 5 here. So let's start with the plant cards because they are the easiest to explain. The plants you can attract if you have enough seeds. So this one, for example, requires 1 seed, this one's 3, and this one's 3. So I would simply pay 1 seed, then I can attract it. So what does attracting mean? I take it and place it in a matching biome. How do you see which biome is the matching one. You see it here at the bottom. So this one wants to be placed in the rainforest because only the rainforest is highlighted. The bromeliad also wants to go in the rainforest, and this one you can place in all the biomes that you want. So it's up to you which one that you choose. Because the biomes, they are here on the right side. This one is the shrubland biome, this top row. The middle row here is grassland, and the bottom row is rainforest. Maybe you now think, and where is the wetland? Because we have also wetland. From a biome perspective, grassland and wetland are seen as the same biome. So you can always place, even if you maybe place a species on a wetland tile, which I will show you in a second, you still place it here in the grassland. It's the same with the rainforest. So even if you place a species on a high tree, it's still seen as rainforest. So we, from a biome perspective, we have 3 biomes here on the side with 3 rows. But there, of course, their symbols are different. So this one and this one, these are different symbols. So regarding effects, they are seen as different biomes. But from a biome perspective, they are the same. So let's now assume I take this one. So I pay 1 seed and I place it here in the rainforest. And then that's how my options are done for the plants, because I have attracted the maximum of 1 plant card. Then let's have a look at the wildlife cards. Wildlife cards are a bit more complicated. For example, I will take it here so it's easy for you to see. Wildlife cards have different effects. So plants have only 1 type. And wildlife cards, they have different types. So there are 6 different types for animals. There are small herbivores, medium herbivores, large herbivores, insects, predators, and apex predators. And next to this icon here, you have a small number, and this number simply indicates how many times this symbol is in the game, how many species with this symbol are in the game. Then you have here the name, of course, of the species. Then you have here the effect, and we differentiate between end of game effect. This you will score when the game is finished. You get the points, and there is a flash symbol, this one here. It's also highlighted in orange and yellow. When you see this means that the effect is immediately triggered and you instantly immediately get these points. Then here on the left, you also see in which biomes the species can live. But different than with plants, these species you can't simply place here on the right. You also need space here on your player board to play them. So for example here, for the gecko, you need 2 hexagons of shrubland. Then you can place it 2 unoccupied hexagons. Then here you see the common marmoset is a bit more versatile because it needs 2 shrubland tile hexes or 1 rainforest one. And on top, it even can be placed on a high tree, which I will explain in a second. And even more versatile would be the giant anteater, because it needs either 4 unoccupied shrubland tiles or hexes, 3 grassland hexes, or 1 rainforest hex. And so when it's your turn to attract these species here, you simply have a look at all of them, and then you simply check which ones can you take, because this one you can't take the top here because it needs rainforest and grassland, and I only have shrubland. The sloth I also can't take. I can take the Paraiba gecko, I can take the common marmoset, but I also can't take the giant anteater because I would need 4 shrubland hexes. So then I would need to decide between these 2, and let's say I simply take the Paraiba gecko, I place it here, and then to now symbolize that the Paraiba gecko is in my on my landscape here, I place 2 of these animal markers on unoccupied shrubland tiles. It's important that these, always when I place a species, these animal markers of one species, they have to be adjacent to each other. So it's not possible to have, for example, here a shrubland and here a shrubland and place one here and here. That's not possible. It's possible to place them over like the edge here, so over this small cliff, that's possible, and that's no problem, that's seen as one big shrubland, but simply they have to be always placed adjacent to each other, these animal markers. And that's how I Yeah, that's how you attract wildlife cards. And since this has an end of game effect, you also have nothing to trigger, nothing to score at the moment, so it stays like this. And since I don't have more space at the moment, because all the species need different biomes or more space, I would be finished with wildlife cards. And now I can have a look at predation cards. And predation cards, they don't need unoccupied biome tile hexes. What they need is a prey, a matching prey. So for example, the giant armadillo needs an insect in the rainforest or in the grassland. And the black caiman needs a large herbivore or a medium herbivore in the rainforest, and the jaguarundi needs a small herbivore in either the shrubland, the grassland, or the rainforest. So it's very versatile. So this one, I would not have any prey for it because I don't have an insect. This one also, I have don't even have a species here that it could eat. This one would work. So if I, let's say, would want the jaguarundi, I simply take it. And then I could place it on top of the Paraiba gecko. Because the Paraiba gecko is a small herbivore and it matches the predation effect here. And it lives in the shrubland, and the jaguarundi can also live in the shrubland. So I would place it on top of it. The Paraiba gecko is now like more or less out of the game because this effect would no longer count in the end of the game because it's now covered. It only helps with completing biomes, which I will explain a bit later. So it's now covered, and you immediately get 5 points. You score them. And so now my attraction phase would be over. Because I can take more plant cards, I can take more predation cards, and wildlife cards, I don't have the space here. So now the next players, it would be the next player's turn and the next player's turn. Of course, first, before the next player starts, we would replenish here. That's always very important, that everyone has a full set to choose from, like this. And so over the turn of the game, you gather here more animals and more animals. And once a player has 8 animals, 8 visible animals, so this animal is not visible. Once a player has 8 visible animals here, the end of the game starts. This means that the round that we are at the moment in would be finished, and then we play one more round. And once this is done, this last final round, the end of the game is evaluated. And for this, all the players simply have a look at all their cards they have here. So let's say we would have some other cards here. And then you simply check, do I have end of game effects? Because instant effects, they were already counted during the game. You check for end of game effects, and then these end of game effects are evaluated, and you add the points to your score. For example, here with the anteater, giant anteater, you would get 4 victory points per insect that you have here. At the moment 0, but let's say we would have here 5, then it's 5 times 4, that's 20, and you would add these 20 points to your score. And the player with the most scoring, with the highest victory points, would win the game. In the rule book, there is a great example of like such a game end and how it's evaluated. So please have a look at there. Because it's precisely explained how many points you get from which card and where you get these points from. And that's way better than what I could do here with showing you cards. So that's pretty much how the game works. But I want to mention 2 more things to you, 2 to 3 more things to you. So, because then you really should have understood like 95% of all the rules in the game. So one thing that I would like to explain to you is completing a biome. Because these biomes, you can complete them. To complete them, you need a predator, small or large, or apex or normal, herbivore, a small one, a medium one, or a large one, an insect, and a plant. Once you have that, you finish like the food pyramid. So you have of all the animals that are needed in a biome, you have one or all the plants, organisms. Then you can score 6 victory points. So you simply place a player marker here, and then you score immediately 6 victory points. So how would this look? I need to search an insect for you. So yeah, here, perfect, we would have an insect, and then we would have a plant that we can place here. So once I place the last card here that I need, I can score these 6 victory points. It's very important that the Paraiba gecko is part of this biome. It's not just eaten, it's just part of this food chain, so it also counts towards this completion of the biome. So here I have the predator, here I have the herbivore, here the insect, and here the plant. Once this is done, I immediately get 6 points, and this you can do 3 times. So you can complete this biome, and it simply gives you more points, yeah, in the end of the game. Like this, perfect. And now the second thing I want to explain to you is how this common marmoset works. Because the common marmoset can be placed on a tree. Tree species are special because they are represented in the game with these tree meeples. So when you attract a species that can be placed on a tree, you don't take the general animal markers, but you take their corresponding tree meeples. These tree meeples you then place simply here on the biome. So let's say I would place it in the shrubland, then I would place them here. Here, of course, it doesn't help you much, because here you never can place a rainforest tree, and so you never can place them on top of them. But it simply shows all the other players that the common marmoset is in play and that you have placed it there. But let's assume we would now have placed a rainforest in one of our rounds, like this, or maybe even 2 rainforests. Then, if the space would be free, we could simply we take one of the meeples, because it only needs 1 in the rainforest, and we place it here, like this. And now let's assume that at a later point we would upgrade the rainforest. So this means I pay 1 water, I get a tree, or I could also pay 2 water and get 2 trees. Then I place them here. And now I can immediately upgrade this animal on the tree. And this means, as already explained a bit before, I get 4 victory points, so I could immediately score them, because it's now occupied. And it also means that here at the bottom I have again free space for species to attract. And so you can place here again an animal marker, for example for the sloth, because the sloth also needs a rainforest. So if it would be now my card attraction phase, I simply could attract the sloth, can place it here, and I could attract the sloth, but even smarter would it be to not attract the sloth like this, because the sloth is again upgradable species. So I could also directly place it here on the tree and would get another 4 victory points, and would then add them to my victory points tracked. But I could now, if let's say there would also be the anteater, to finalize this, I could take the anteater, place it here, and place an animal marker here at the ground, and I still have 1 space here at the ground left for any other species that would be interesting for my biomes. Also important about these species, and we haven't discussed that yet, I shift them a bit here to the middle to make it a bit clearer for you, is these are immediate effects. So they are instantly scored. So how does this work? So with this one here, you simply check how many medium herbivores do you have at the moment here in your biomes, and then you instantly get these 3 victory points. So in this case we only have 1, the sloth itself, and this also counts, so it gives you 3 victory points for the sloth, and you would immediately do that. If you now also have the common marmoset and would attract it, it gives you points per rainforest symbol. And for this you simply count the rainforest symbols on your plants. So we have 1 with here. And on the rainforest squares here, we have 1 here and 1 here. And also on these cards here. So we would have 5 of these symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 3 is 15. And you add them here to your points. And so you see, it's very important also that these cards, you play them at the right moment. And because when you have them here at the end of the game, they count also for end of game effects, which maybe reward rainforest symbols. So there are also cards that reward these symbols at the end of the game. So it's also a timing thing, how many cards you have here when the game ends. You want to have a lot of them if you have animals, of course, that reward these symbols. And so in these cases, you simply immediately score them and then immediately add them. And if they would have a long-term effect, you would instead do that at the end of the game. And that's how Rewild South America works. Like I said, for the expert mode and the solo mode, please have a look at the rulebook. And also important, I explained you now 95% of the rules, but there are definitely like 5% of the rules missing, because there are always like specific cases that can happen during the game. But all of these rules are perfectly explained in the rulebook, and you can also easily find them, because there is the component anatomy where you can find what you're looking for. There is a glossary, so it should be very easy for you to find these specific rules. So thanks a lot for having a look at my video, and yeah, have fun with Rewild South America.